You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 134.1, our weekend review for our boys basketball teams in Blackford, Delaware, Grant, Howard, Madison, Tipton, and Northern Hamilton counties, with our weekly honors, our top 20 power poll, and interviews with Blackford head coach Aaron Daniels, Mississinewa's Josh Brooks, Madison-Grant's Josh Hendrixson, Frankton's Brent Brobston, Hamilton Heights' Chad Ballenger, Tri-Central head coach Cam Hindman, and Muncie Central head coach Justin Ullom.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you've chosen to listen to the Central Indiana Sports Report. We welcome you to another year of probably the best podcast on the planet. Today is January 2nd, 2025. It's a Thursday, and that means it's another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt, and I love Central Indiana basketball. Coming to you today from headquarters in Jeffersonville. Producer Susie, as usual, is in the control room. Welcome to our boys basketball weekend review, about 2.5 days late. We are reviewing December 23rd to December 28th, 2024. It's the holidays. I'm sure you understand that I'm a little bit late. We have had, however, plenty of podcasts. We've had Pacers, Colts, college football. We've had those all regularly. We're looking to add more IU, Purdue, Ball State. We're also going to have some special guests and segments coming up this weekend. Please look for those. We start our weekend review with our look at the CIC, then the Hoosier Conference, the Hoosier Heartland, the Hoosier Heritage, the NCC, the Mideastern, the Pioneer, and the Three Rivers Conference, with full week recaps on all of the teams in Blackford, Delaware, Grant, Howard, Madison, Tipton, and Northern Hamilton counties. We start, as we always do, with the conference that named itself right after this podcast. At least I think that's how it happened. And of course, we go from the top of the standings to the bottom. And all of the rankings that we mention are from the USA Today poll, which was released Monday. And we start with the CIC. At the top of the standings is Oak Hill and Blackford. They're both 2-0 in conference. Oak Hill is 6-3, Blackford 5-4. Mississinewa, Madison-Grant, Frankton, and Alexandria are all 1-1 in the CIC. Mississinewa's 4-4, Madison-Grant 3-5, Frankton is 2-5, and Alexandria is 2-6. Eastbrook is 1-2 in the conference. They are 3-5 overall. Elwood is 2-6 overall, and the only winless team in the conference at 0-3. We start with Oak Hill. The Golden Eagles are 6-3 overall, 2-0 in the CIC. Over the weekend, they finished third at the Grant 4 tournament at Oak Hill. They were upset 43-38 in the semifinal on Saturday against Eastbrook. The Golden Eagles shot just 27% from the field, 25% from behind the three-point line. Junior RJ Sugar had 16 points, but he was just 4 for 15 from the field. Sophomore Jace Tonigal finished with 12 points. He was just 5 for 18. He did have 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. They did rebound to beat Madison-Grant 59-46 in the consolation game. They shot 60% in that one and were 9 for 10 from the free throw line. Tonigal finished with 20 points, 11 rebounds, 4 steals, and 2 assists. Sugar was 8 for 10 in the consolation game with 18 points. Sophomore Landon Cruzen finished with 9. Sophomore Luke Elzinga had 4 points and 4 assists. Oak Hill is off until Friday, January 10th, when they're at home against 5-4 Peru. Blackford is 5-4 overall, 2-0 in the CIC. They finished 4th at the Shenandoah Invitational. It started with a 56-50 win over Tinley on Friday, and that one senior Gage Baker had 19 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds. Freshman Mari Lega had 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. Junior Mason Kitterman finished with 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. And junior Jacob Dillon had 7 points and 4 rebounds. In the nightcap on Friday in the semifinal round, Blackford lost to Greater Latrobe, Pennsylvania, 66-55. Blackford trailed by 22 points at halftime. Baker had 19 points, Leggett 10, senior Jacob Lease finished with 9, Kitterman 7, and junior Mason McFeely finished with 4. And then the tournament ended with a 51-43 loss to Greenwood Christian on Saturday. Leggett had 20 points, 4 assists, and 4 steals. Baker, 12 points, 6 rebounds. Lease finished with 7 points, and he made a pair of three-pointers. Greater Latrobe beat Shenandoah in the championship game. Blackford is off until January 10th on Friday when they go to 3-5 Madison-Grant for a CIC contest. I spoke with Blackford head coach Aaron Daniels earlier this week and asked him about his team's 1-2 weekend.
Yeah, we struggled kind of all weekend, which was kind of good for us in a sense of we've had a lot of success this year, but in that kind of format where you're playing 3 games in 2 days, we pride ourselves on preparation a lot, and so we got to prepare for the Tinley game. Came out a little bit flat, but we're still able to win that game. And then we kind of sat around all day, and you could tell in the evening game it was a really physical game. We played Greater Latrobe, Pennsylvania, super physical. We just did not handle the pressure well of their physicality, and then we responded poorly. We got beat there, and then we turned around on Saturday, and not a huge turnaround. We played at 2:00 on Saturday, and kind of same story. Came out flat. Didn't look ready to play. Gave up some easy buckets, and different things, and just we were without the our third leading scorer Mason Kitterman for the weekend. I mean, he played some, but he was sick, and really in the Saturday game, I bet he only played maybe 3 minutes. So we kind of went without him the whole weekend, which makes us a little bit deeper. When it comes time for March, you'd rather have these experiences in December and January than later in the year. But we definitely struggled a little bit this weekend. It was good for our ball team to see some different stuff and to go through that. But we're growing, and I still like where we're at this point of the season.
Once you win that first game, the second day becomes a lot more difficult, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And so we kind of went into it, and we wanted to really try to get 2 wins out of the tournament. We knew that there was a lot of good teams there. And then Saturday morning we get there early, and you see DeKalb playing in the last place game, who's a really good basketball team.
Yeah.
So when you win that first game, it definitely changes the entire bracket. And we played a really good Greater Latrobe team on Friday night, and then Greenwood Christian was extremely well coached. They were a fantastic basketball team. They just did all the little things right. And at the end of the game, you look up and you're down 5-6 points just because they disciplined us to death.
Mississinewa is 4-4 overall, 1-1 in the CIC, and over the weekend, of course, won their second straight Grant 4 championship. The Indians beat Madison-Grant 53-39 on Saturday in the semifinal. They shot 51% from the field. Junior Tyvon Jacobs had 17 points, going 7 of 9 from the field, with 11 rebounds, 5 of those on the offensive end. Senior Grady Schnepp had 14 points. Senior Keontae Woods had 12 points and 11 rebounds. Freshman Ravion Fetz finished with 6 points and 5 assists. Mississinewa beat Eastbrook 41-37 in the championship game on Saturday evening. They outscored Eastbrook 28-13 in the second half. Fetz finished with 11 points. Jacobs had another great game with 10 points, 5 steals, and 4 rebounds. Junior Ian Newsom had 9.7 rebounds and 2 assists, and senior Seth Yoder finished with 7 points and 4 rebounds. Mississinewa gets right back to action on Saturday when they go to 1-6 Newcastle. On Wednesday, January 8th, they host 5-3 Southwood. I spoke with Mississinewa head coach Josh Brooks about winning another Grant 4 championship. All right, Coach Brooks, congratulations on another Grant 4 championship. I bet it's getting old now, right?
No, hardly. Really, I was not fortunate enough as a player to get one, so to be able to get a couple as a coach is nice. And Probably just getting a little old and sentimental, but love being able to watch the guys, win it and see their excitement and their joy and all their hard work pay off.
And you really have to be part of the Grant Four to kind of get how special it is.
Yeah, there's just I don't know, been around a lot of basketball, played in and coached in, a number of tournaments, and there is something special about the Grant Four and just kind of being that small county tournament, all the schools, and especially now with technology and, the kids all really knowing each other pretty well, and just that rivalry between the schools. It's a pretty neat day. It's a really long day, very emotional, but fun day. So, very special, great time to be just with the team and be with the players and all of that. So to be able to walk away, a second year in a row with the championship is definitely very special.
What do you think the difference was in the end, being able to get it done against two pretty good teams in Madison-Grant and Eastbrook?
I just would say the resiliency of our guys and the belief in each other. Game one, we had a couple guys in Grady Schnepp and Tyvon Jacobs Van Landingham, who may not have been, a leading scorer yet this season, and, more of a quote unquote role player throughout. And those two really stepped up in game one to, seal that victory for us. And, neat to see their teammates, lean and trust them and know that they kind of had the hot hand for the day. And then, for Tyvon to be able to step up again against Eastbrook in the second half specifically, and, get us big bucket after big bucket until we were able to kind of take that lead was really neat to see. And, probably the big difference, for us in that, they were Madison-Grant and Eastbrook both did a really good job of taking away Ravion Fetts, who had kind of been our leader so far this season, and Keontae Woods, in the same way. So, kudos to them for, limiting those two, but really proud of our guys for stepping up and trusting each other and, finding a way to win both of those games.
Do you feel like this is the kind of thing that can give you some momentum or propel you forward into 2025?
Yeah, I think it's obviously a positive thing. To be able to win it and then learn from winning too is obviously easier than having to learn from a loss. So for us to be able to learn that we got other guys on this team that can fill the scoring role if needed is big. I think Ravion maybe played as freshman ish as he has all season, but being able to pull those two wins out with him maybe not being at his best is big. And us being able to pull some footage and some clips from these games to help him be better down the stretch as well as a big deal. And I think the confidence that these guys have with each win grows, and with that confidence, I think the better we become.
Madison-Grant is 3-5 overall, 1-1 in the CIC. They've finished in fourth place at the Grant Four. They've lost 5 games in a row after starting the season 3-0. They lost to Madison-Grant 53-39, then 59-43 to Oak Hill in the consolation game. Madison-Grant is at home on Friday against 0-7 Cowan. Then on Tuesday, January 7th, they're at 7-2 Shenandoah. And then next Friday, January 10th, they're at home against 5-4 Blackford in a CIC game. I spoke with Madison-Grant head coach Josh Hendrixson about his team's performance at the Grant Four and his team's season to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously been a little up and down. Started 3-0, lost the last 5. I mean, it's started with that loss to Lewis Cass, where I felt like we kind of handed them that game. 6-point lead late, ended up losing by 1. Obviously we played some good competition since then. I mean, 2 of those losses have been Mississinewa, one's Oak Hill, and a Tri-Central team is 5-3, and have a lot of kids who play off season at AAU and have a solid squad. My thoughts are we're still at the point where we're trying to get the offense going. And the biggest part is just the inability right now to make shots.
Yeah.
It's not the kids aren't working hard. It's a lot of guys who aren't basketball first guys, guys who don't play a lot in the off season, guys who, other sports are what is their priority, and a bunch of guys who had a deep run in the football season. I think we're getting closer to shaking some of that rest off. We're never going to be confused with one of the greatest shooting teams on earth, but we're getting closer to to making a reasonable amount of shots to give us a chance. If you look at our box scores, you look at our stats, and you just blocked off the shooting, you would think, how's this team 3-5? Because we've had fewer turnovers in our opponents. We're rebounding the same with our opponents. Defensively, we're holding teams to 45, 46 points a game. And then on the flip side of that, if you just looked at our shooting and hit everything else on the box score, you'd be like, how's this team not losing every game by 40? So it's one of those things where I hate to boil it down to the simplest part of it, but the thing we are not doing right now is making shots on a consistent basis.
But it's going to be an awfully dangerous team if you do.
Yes, it would be a very dangerous team if we do. That word "if" is one that's very interesting.
Yes.
It's I don't know when we do or if we do. I think it is going to get better. But like I said, we're never going to be confused with the 2018 Warriors. No, we're not going to be confused with the Splash Brothers ever. But I think we can we can get to a point where we can make a reasonable amount of shots that we can win some of these games with these teams that are quality opponents. I mean, it's not really that far off. It's just a couple things here or there. It's like Saturday morning, we go 4 for 16 at the free throw line against Mississinewa. 4 for 16, we make like even half of those, and it makes those last 5 or 6 minutes a lot different. We come back Saturday night and we're 12 of 15 at the free throw line. Which obviously is an acceptable number. We're talking 80% at that point. But it's just the inconsistency right now with what we're going to get as far as putting the ball in the basket.
Frankton is 2-5 overall, 1-1 in the CIC, a very good 2-5 team. They lost twice this weekend, 51-35 at 2A number 1 Wapahani on Friday. Only 6 players scored for the Eagles. Senior Joey Wright had 10, senior Brady Carmack 9, sophomore Trey Bennett 7, junior Ethan Stansberry 6, and junior Noah Melvin finished with 4. Carmack and Bennett had 7 rebounds each. Wright had 6 assists. Stansberry 4 steals. Then on Saturday night, the Eagles lost 48-36 to 2A number 15 Monroe Central. They shot just 32% in that one. Wright finished with 9 points and 3 assists. Senior Javon Miller had 9 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals. Stansberry finished with 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. And Carmack 8 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. Frankton will look to get back on track when they host 5-2 Anderson Prep in the opening round of the Madison County Tournament on Monday, January 6th. In the second round on Wednesday, January 10th, they'll play either 5-4 Liberty Christian, which is ranked number 8 in Class A, or 2-6 Elwood. I spoke with Frankton head coach Brent Brobston, who said his team really just needs better offensive production.
Well, we're consistent with our defense and our rebounding. Those two things are coming every game. We held Wapahani to 51 points, held their leading scorer 5 points below his average. Their second leading scorer 2 to 3 points below his average. So we feel like we're doing those two things really very well. But we've got to be able to score more and put the ball in the basket. So that's something that's going to be our concentration all week is figuring out ways that we can score more, getting guys to take shots that we think maybe they're passing up and not taking. But it was 2 good games for us to have to play against 2 really good teams. Like I've said before, you're not going to find a better program than Wapahani consistently, and what Coach Luce has done with his program. So, that's always a tough game to play. So we learned a lot from that. Saturday night, we had to turn around, drive right back over there and play Monroe Central, who's only lost one game all year. And that game was close all the way to the end. And we just weren't able to get over the hump in either game. But, like I told the kids, I'm proud of our kids. I know we're sitting 2-5 right now, but those 5 losses are against LaPel, Tipton, Oak Hill, Monroe Central, and Wapahani. They're all on the road. And I don't think anybody really, as a 2A school really wants to play that type of schedule before Christmas break. And we do. So we want to play that. We want to get better. We want to see what we're doing wrong as we head into the second half of the season. And not even that for us. We're only a third of the way, not even a third of the way through our season.
Right.
So there's a lot of basketball to be played. And we're learning each game from what we need to get better at playing good competition like this.
So no concern being at 2-5.
No, I don't think so. Our kids had a great practice on Monday. They came in ready to get back at it and learn from what we had done wrong. But the two things, there's really 3 things we feel like we're bringing to the table every night, and that's our kids are playing with a lot of heart, and they're playing for that name on the jersey of Frankton and as a team, and they're defending at a high level. I think we're giving up 47 points a game. And, the other thing is we've not been out-rebounded all season. We've out-rebounded every opponent. So those things are awesome because those are hustle effort, attitude type things. But now we've got to, and partly me as a coach, we've got to adjust some things, and we're making those adjustments all week. And as a coaching staff, I feel like our staff's worked real hard on figuring out how we're going to put ourselves into the 50s, 60s, 70s scoring the basketball. So those things are coming along this week so far, and that's what we got to get better at.
Anybody who you felt like stepped up in either of the games or both?
I thought it was a well-rounded effort for all the kids involved in playing for us. Joey's been our leader, and Carmack offensively, both of them all season, but we've got to have a little more scoring from some other positions. And I think our kids got to understand that when they have an open shot, they got to take it. So we definitely passed up some really open shots, I felt like, in the game against Wapahani to run more offense. And I don't think those are shots we need to pass up. So now we're trying to give our kids the confidence that these are shots we want to take and make.
Eastbrook is 3-5 overall, 1-2 in the CIC. They had a very good weekend and were Grant 4 runners up. First, they upset Oak Hill 43-38 at Oak Hill. In the semifinal round, junior Bodie Howell had 21 points. He was 7 for 10 from the field with 5 rebounds. Sophomore Jaden Yance had 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists, also 2 steals. And senior Reed Opperly finished with 9 points, going 4 for 5 from the field with 7 rebounds. They led most of the way, but ended up losing 41-37 to Mississinewa in the championship game. They led 24-13 at the half. Hal finished with 14 points and 7 rebounds. Yance finished with 10 points. Eastbrook is back in action Saturday at home against 0-7 Cowan. Elwood has not played since December 20th when they lost 56-21 to Blackford. They next are in action on January 6th when they host 5-4 Liberty Christian in the first round of the Madison County tournament. The second round they'll play either 5-2 Anderson Prep or 2-5 Frankton. The final round is Friday, January 10th. Our only independent is LaPel. The Bulldogs are 4-3. Their last game was a 49-45 win over Mississinewa on December 21st. Like Elwood, they don't play again until Monday, January 6th. They take on 3-5 Pendleton Heights in the opening round of the Madison County tournament. Pendleton beat LaPel 71-64 at LaPel on December 6th. To the Hoosier Conference, we start with the East Division. Western is on top and has essentially clinched the division. They are 7-3 overall, 2-0 in the division. Class 2A number 11 Tipton is 4-2 overall, 1-1 in the conference. Hamilton Heights is 6-5 overall, 1-1 in conference. And Logansport is 3-7 and 0-2. In the Hoosier Conference West, West Lafayette and Twin Lakes are on top of the division. They're both 1-0. West Lafayette 6-2 overall. Twin Lakes is 6-5. Lafayette Central Catholic has not played a conference game yet. They are 5-3. Benton Central is 3-6 overall and 0-1 in the conference. Western is 7-3 overall, 2-0 in the Hoosier Conference. They went 1-2 and finished 7th at an invitational at Lebanon. The tournament started with a 59-45 loss to Perry Meridian on Friday. Junior Carter Biggs had 16 points. Senior Sam Thurston finished with 11. He was 3 for 7 from the three-point line and also had 6 rebounds. Sophomore Christian Bangs had 7 points. Then they lost to Class A number 6 Indianapolis Metro 51-39 on Saturday. Carter Biggs had 15 points on 5 of 7 shooting with 6 rebounds, and senior Hudson Biggs had 13 points and 4 rebounds. In the finale of the tournament, the Panthers beat Faith Christian 64-46 for 7th place. Freshman Eli Mast led Western with 19 points. He also had 6 steals and 3 assists. Carter Biggs had 17 points and 4 rebounds, and Hudson Biggs 11 points and 4 rebounds. Western is at 6-2 West Lafayette on Saturday. Then they're at home against 5-3 Lafayette Central Catholic on Tuesday, before closing next week at 3-7 Logansport on Saturday. Class 2A number 11 Tipton is 4-2, 1-1 in the Hoosier Conference. They have not played since December 20th, a 67-52 win at Logansport. They are in action on Thursday, so probably today as you're listening to this, against 13-3 Kokomo Homeschool in the first round of a tournament at Clinton Central at 6:30. In the championship game Friday, Tipton will face either 6-0 Carroll, which is ranked number 4 in Class A, or 1-6 Clinton Central. Hamilton Heights is 6-5 overall, 1-1 in conference. They finished 5th in an 8-team Switzerland County tournament. First, they lost to Paoli 67-51 on Friday. Then they beat East Central on Friday evening, 47-38. Senior Gavin Saunders had 12 points, and junior Reese Knapp finished with 10. They finished the tournament with a 79-56 win over Trinity Lutheran. Knapp finished with 18 points. He was 6 for 10 from the field and 3 for 5 from behind the three-point line. Saunders had 16 points and 5 assists. Senior Carson Felger had 12 points, 6 rebounds, 3 steals, and 3 assists. Senior Chris Nobby finished with 8 points. Junior Drew Duncan had 6 points and 7 rebounds. And senior Tyler Champion finished with 7 points, 7 assists, 6 steals, and 3 rebounds. The Huskies are off until Friday, January 10th, when they go to 4-2 Northwestern. Then they face 0-8 Frankfort the following night. Earlier this week, I spoke with Hamilton Heights head coach Chad Ballenger about his team's 2-1 weekend.
We bounced back really well. I was really pleased. Played really good defense the last 2 games. The first game, the score really an indicative of how we played. We competed. It was like a 4-point game in the third quarter, and the bottom kind of dropped out. And then we hung around in the fourth for a while, and then the last few minutes that we couldn't score. But Paoli was undefeated. It's a good challenge. Had a big that bothered us, and they had a really good the coach's son scored on us late. We did a really pretty good job on him, but the fourth quarter he kind of took over, and but we had 2 bounce back games. We played well. East Central and Trinity Lutheran, we got done what we needed. Got up on East Central and held a double-digit lead through most of the game. So really pleased. I just thought defensively we did a good job. And you never know. Holiday tourneys are kind of a crapshoot. It can be a good thing just to go play, but it was quick after Christmas, and sometimes you can get into those, and kids are like, "Hey, man, I want to get back home and have a little break." But I thought our kids responded, and we definitely got better through the weekend.
It looks like against Trinity Lutheran, your offense started to find some rhythm.
Yeah, a lot of it came from our defense. We were able to pressure and get out and run, but we hit shots. We talked about as a team, we've not had that game where we've had multiple guys that have shot the ball well. We've had games where one or two, but we've always felt we're a really good shooting team, but we've never had a really total team effort. Maybe that over the weekend we found that against Trinity Lutheran we did. We came out kind of flat. They had the lead on us the first quarter. They got a couple of really nice players, but again, our defense kind of took over and wore them out, and we got up and got out and ran a little bit and got able to score. But Drayden Zerna didn't play for us the last two games. He's been a starter for us. He's been hurt. His knees are really bothering him. So again, we played without potentially two starters. Landon Schreiber didn't play at all. He's got a back issue, and Drayden Zerna. So we're kind of just really creating some more depth with those two guys out because game number one, those were two starters for us, and Landon's only been able to play in a couple of games. So hopefully we can get him healthy here over the holidays and get him back sometime in January or February. But I'm really pleased where we're at right now.
Who are some of those players who are giving you a little more depth now?
Well, Chris Nobby's came off the bench and done a really good job. Aiden Unger is another senior. It's just a really hard worker that's benefited and got more minutes than he probably would. A really good defender. So those two have been able to really help us. Jack Kakasulif's a sophomore. We actually put him in the starting lineup the last few games, starting to play more relaxed. He's been in double figures, I think, too, the last 3 games. Didn't get to play a lot the last game, got in foul trouble a little bit. We had a big lead, so we didn't play him a ton that last game. But those are three that have stepped up. Drew Duncan's another one that started for us early, but then he hurt an ankle and he's been out. He was able to get some minutes this weekend. Still not 100%, but another one that started for us early. So, we've been playing down with some guys that's been out, but pretty good team effort. Reese Knapp stepped up. He's kind of been the shooting slump at one time through the year. He was 1 of 14, and he ended up making the all-tournament team. He had 18 in the last game. He was in double figures all 3 games. Started shooting the 3-ball better. The week before against West Lafayette and Western, he kind of came out of that slump. So that's kind of good to see him. And teams are keyed on Gavin Saunders, but Gavin's find a way. He had 7 against Paoli, and he didn't get any shots. I think we got him 4 shots and he hit 3.
Wow.
So it's pretty good, but they did a great job defensively and holding him down.
There are 3 unbeaten teams in the Hoosier Heartland Conference and 3 ranked teams. Sheridan is on top of the conference. They are 3-0 in the Hoosier Heartland, 8-1 overall. Taylor remains unbeaten on the season at 7-0. They are 2-0 in the conference. They are ranked 10th in Class 2A. Class A number 4, Carroll is 1-0 in the conference and 6-0 overall. Class A number 14, Clinton Prairie, Rossville, and Tri-Central are all 1-1 in the conference. Clinton Prairie's 5-1, Rossville 6-3, Tri-Central is 5-3. Eastern is 1-2 in the conference. They are 3-4 overall. Clinton Central is 1-6, 0-2. Delphi 4-3, 0-3. Sheridan is 8-1 overall, 3-0 in the conference. They just won the Sheridan Holiday Tournament. It's the first time they've won it in the 6 years that they've hosted it. They beat North White 72-24 Saturday. They shot 51%, 11 for 21 from deep, 15 assists on 25 baskets. Senior Caleb Wright had 18 points, 7 steals, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. Sophomore Trey Page finished with 16 points, 3 steals, and 2 assists. Senior Damon Winston had 9 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. And junior Braden Wisman finished with 6 points and 7 rebounds. Then on Saturday evening, the Blackhawks beat Hagerstown 85-55 in the championship game. Page scored 22 of his game-high 28 points in the first half. He was 9 for 15 from the field, 4 for 8 from deep, and 6 for 7 at the free throw line. He also had 5 steals and 3 rebounds. Winston finished with 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. Seniors Caleb and Carson Wright and junior Devin Hamilton scored 10 points each. Caleb Wright also had 7 assists and 6 rebounds. Sheridan has a big one on Saturday when they go to 9-1 Park Heritage in Rockville. Park Heritage is ranked number 3 in Class 2A. Then they're at home against 4-5 South Vermilion on Friday, January 10th. Taylor is 7-0 overall, 2-0 in the HHC. They beat Eastern 64-37 on Friday. Junior Dre McClatchy, 23 points, 3 assists, and 2 steals. Junior Javon Harris finished with 22 points, 18 rebounds, 2 block shots, and 2 assists. Sophomore Keyshawn Galloway had 12 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. It was the same 3 guys who were the stars in Monday's 42-27 win over Pioneer in the first round of the Delphi Invitational. Galloway had 19 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. McClatchy, 11 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. And Harris finished with 5 points and 7 rebounds. Taylor is now in the semifinal of the Delphi Invitational. They play at 7 o'clock on Thursday against host Delphi. The final round, they will face either 6-3 Rossville or 5-3 Winnemac. That will be Saturday at 11 if it's for third place and they win on Thursday, or it will be at 3 o'clock for the championship on Saturday. Tri-Central finished third in an invitational at Morristown. First, they lost 57-54 to Western Boone. Freshman Drake Ramsier finished with 18 points and 4 assists and 3 rebounds. Senior Izzy Fowler had 15 points, and junior Jay Jankowiak contributed 9 points and 8 rebounds. The Trojans bounced back and beat Indianapolis Heron 69-55 on Saturday in the consolation game. Ramsier finished with a career-high 36 points. Fowler had 14 points and 5 assists. Freshman Cooper Leininger had 8 points. Senior Tanner England finished with 6 points and 10 rebounds. Senior Aaron Hoback had 7 rebounds and 3 assists. Tri-Central is back in action Saturday at 1-5 Daleville. Then on Friday, January 10th, they go to 8-1 Sheridan for a conference game. Then they're at home against 4-3 West Dell on Saturday, January 11th. I spoke with Tri-Central head coach Cam Hindman, who said his team played pretty well most of the weekend, but they really thought they should have won the tournament.
You know, we went down to go win the tournament, and I still think we were the best team, and it probably should have been the one to win it, but we had a little bit of adversity that happened right up the opening tip-off, which I'm not laying it totally at his feet, but it makes it kind of tough when you're starting big, ends up with a turned ankle on the opening tip and doesn't play most of that game. So there's the disappointment, both in the fact that we didn't get the W, and the Jay ended up injured, Jay Jankowiak. But the positive takeaway is we still put ourselves in a position to win it. We had 2 chances to take the lead towards the end of the game, and just came up short. And we did it with missing 2 starters because Logan Yance was not there either, and we had guys stepping into roles that they weren't used to playing and not playing at that time of the game. So several step up and do big things that I think made them better players and made us a better team as a result. Tanner England came into that game, probably expecting to play his minutes that he normally would play, which is probably 6 to 8 minutes a game. And suddenly he's on the floor the whole time. And he did a phenomenal job. Played some really good defense for us. He got a few buckets in each game. And
10
I think
rebounds in a game, right?
He did. He got 10 rebounds in the second game, and Aaron Hoback had 10 in the first game. So again, we had guys that weren't used to playing in the roles that we ended up putting them in. So, the takeaway is we lost a tournament that we really wanted to win and think we should have and could have won, but at the same time, it gave guys opportunities that they weren't ready to or didn't realize were coming, and they made really good use of those opportunities. So I think we came out of there a better team.
Well, I think you definitely have a go-to scorer now. You can say that with confidence, can't you?
Well, yeah, and I think we can say it with a couple different guys. Drake Ramsey had two really good games scoring wise. His second game of the tournament against Heron, he had 36, which I didn't realize it until after the game he had that many. But a heck of a game. But the other side of it is Isaiah Fowler had two really good games. I think he was 29 or 30 on the day, and especially in the second game, he kind of took on a more of a leadership role that again he wasn't used to doing and hasn't ever had to do, and he stepped into that when we needed it. Got the guys on the floor at the time pointed all in the same direction and moving forward. But I was really proud of Isaiah Fowler's play. Cooper Leininger came off the bench and did a lot of really good things at really important times in both games. Again, I sound a bit like a broken record, but we just had guys step into areas where they weren't used to, and took advantage of the opportunity and did great jobs with them.
And that's something that could pay dividends down the line, couldn't it?
Oh, without question, without question. We had practice yesterday and today. I didn't even take them into the gym yesterday. We just went down and watched film and got a little bit of a break.
Uh-oh, I lost you.
Normal practice, and those guys, Tanner England especially, was a player today than what he was last week. So it was a really good tournament for Tanner and again for a couple of other guys, and again I think down the line that's really gonna pay off.
Eastern is 3-4 overall, 1-2 in conference. They lost 64-37 to Class 2A number 10 Taylor on Friday. Next up, they are at home against 4-2 Northwestern on Saturday. Then they're off till January 17th. In the Hoosier Heritage Conference, the remaining unbeaten teams are Class 4A number 16 Mount Vernon. They're 8-1 overall, 3-0 in the conference. And 4A number 4 Greenfield Central, 7-2 overall, 2-0 in the conference. Shelbyville is alone in third place. They're 6-2 overall, 2-1 in the HHC. Delta and Class 3A number 7 New Pal are both 1-1 in conference. Delta's 9-1 overall. New Pal is 8-2 overall. Pendleton Heights is 3-5 and 0-1. Newcastle 1-6, 0-2. And Yorktown is 3-6 and 0-3 in the league. Delta is 9-1 overall, 1-1 in the conference. They won the Delta Holiday Tournament and have won 8 straight games. They beat Fort Wayne South on Friday, 54-49. Then Cecina, 63-51 later that day in the semifinal. Then on Saturday, beat Class 2A, number 9 Providence, 45-26 to win the championship. They are off until Friday, January 10th, when they're at home in a big conference game against Class 3A number 7 New Palestine. New Pal is 8-2. Pendleton Heights is 3-5 overall, 0-1 in conference. They beat Chittard 63-50 Saturday. The Arabians outscored Chittard 29-10 in the fourth quarter. Junior Cooper Sims finished with 30 points. He was 3 for 5 from deep with 6 rebounds and 3 assists. Also huge down the stretch in the fourth quarter. So was senior Joe Estes, who finished with 13 points and 7 rebounds, and junior Ashan Singh, who had 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. All three played huge roles in the Arabians' big fourth quarter. Pendleton Heights is back in action Monday, January 6th in the Madison County Tournament first round. They will face 4-3 LaPel, who they beat earlier this season at LaPel. In the second round, they will face either 7-1 Anderson or 2-6 Alexandria. Yorktown is 3-6 overall, 0-3 in the Hoosier Heritage. They went 0-2 and finished fourth at the Greenwood tournament. They lost 61-60 to Columbus East in the first round, and 57-38 to Triton Central on Saturday in the third place game. They are back at home on Thursday when they host 7-1 Anderson, which is ranked 7th in Class 4A. And then Friday, January 10th, they are at 6-1 Westfield, which is ranked 6th in Class 4A. Tough schedule for the Tigers. Marion is on top of the North Central Conference. There have been 2 games contested in the NCC, and Marion has won both of them. They are 6-1 overall, 2-0 in the conference. Anderson is 7-1 overall, hasn't played a conference game. Lafayette Jeff 8-2 overall, hasn't played a conference game. Muncie Central is 3-6 overall and is yet to play a conference game. A lot still to be decided in a very good NCC this year. Kokomo is ranked number 18 in Class 4A. They're 8-2 overall, 0-1 in the conference. Richmond is 3-5 and 0-1. Class 3A number 13 Marion is 6-1 overall, 2-0 in the conference. They won their last 4 games of 2024. Their last games, they swept 4A number 18 Kokomo and Huntington North, both on the road, December 20th and 21st. They now have 4 games in the next 8 days against teams that are combined 26-6. Starting Friday at Class 4A number 2 Lawrence North, which is 6-1. Then Saturday they're at home against 4A number 6 Westfield, which is 6-1. Next Friday they're at 6-2 Carmel, which is ranked 15th in 4A. Then they're at home against the only unranked team that they play during that stretch on January 11th, and that's against 8-2 Fort Wayne Southside. Class 4A number 7 Anderson is 7-1 overall and has not played a conference game. They were the champions at the East Noble Invitational on Saturday. First they beat John Glenn 83-23 in the semifinal, then beat Garrett 75-52 in the championship game. Next, the Indians are at 3-6 Yorktown on Thursday, then they're off until January 17th. Muncie Central is 3-6 overall and has not played an NCC contest yet. The Bearcats finished third at the Delta Invitational. Got a huge 57-51 win over Columbia City on Friday. Shot 54% from the field. Freshman Jackson Johnson had a big night. 22 points. He was 8 for 13 from the field. He also had 3 rebounds and 2 steals. Junior Landon Wells had an excellent tournament. He finished with 14 points in the win over Columbia City. He made both of his 3-point attempts, had 3 assists and 2 steals. Sophomore Kai Hyatt and freshman Carlos Eccles scored 7 points apiece. Hyatt made his only 3-point attempt and was 4 for 4 at the free throw line. Eccles had 3 assists. In the semifinal round, Muncie Central lost to Class 2A number 9 Providence 38-25. That was also on Friday. Providence shot 29% from the field. Johnson and junior Shamar Taylor scored 10 points each. Johnson also had 5 rebounds. And in the finale, Central beat Cecina 36-34 in a thriller. Eccles, Taylor, Wells, and Johnson scored 8 points apiece, and junior Terry Miles finished with 4 points and 4 rebounds. Eccles also had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Jackson contributed 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Muncie Central is back in action Saturday at 3-4 Jay County. Then they host 4-2 Adams Central on Saturday, January 11th. Muncie Central head coach Justin Ullom said the Bearcats played some of their best basketball of the season at the tournament at Delta.
We played probably a little over half of the quarters we played in those 3 games, I thought we were playing some of our best of the year. And then, just had some quarters where we were really confused and not playing great, especially against zone defense. So obviously something we're going to try to fix, but can't be too upset with 2-1, winning a couple of good ones and a close one.
And in the
Yeah.
last game against the Cena, big shot by Landon Wells.
Yeah, really did a nice job in the second half. We didn't play him in the first half and had long conversations, just internal stuff, and he did exactly what you hope someone does. He comes out, responds, plays great in the second half, has 8 points, immediately gets a transition bucket, and then a huge 3 late also.
You think you're going to benefit from a tournament like this?
I think getting to play some teams where the team, you do scout, and you scout all the teams you're going to play, but you don't get as much time, and therefore you're not, you haven't practiced 3 days for each team or something like that. So there's a little bit of just letting the guys go play and focusing on yourself. And I think that helps us in the long term. Right now, I'm not sure we're where we need to be to really worry about anybody else but ourselves. And it was good to go win a couple physical games.
Class 4A number 18, Kokomo is 8-2 overall, 0-1 in the North Central Conference. The Wildcats won the Phil Cox Memorial Tournament Championship on Friday and Saturday. It started with a 90-70 win over New Haven on Friday. Senior Zion Bellamy had 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. Junior Corbin Hamill had 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Sophomore Ervion Brooks and junior Barris Moore scored 14 points apiece. And senior Mark Fewerly had a tournament record 11 assists and also had 6 rebounds in the win. And on Saturday morning in the semifinal round, Kokomo defeated Merrillville 80-63. Moore finished with 19 points. Hamill had 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. And Bellamy and senior Adavion Young had 13 points apiece. The Wildcats defeated Warren Central 76-71 Saturday evening in the championship game. Bellamy finished with 21 points, Moore with 20. Hamill had 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. And Young and freshman DJ Nash had 10 points apiece. Nash also had 6 rebounds and 4 assists. Kokomo plays next on Friday, January 10th at 3-7 Logansport. Then they're at home against 3-3 Snyder the following night. Half of the teams in the Mideastern Conference don't have a conference loss yet. Shenandoah is on top of the conference at 3-0. They are 7-2 overall. Class A number 15 Monroe Central is 2-0. So is Eastern Hancock. Monroe Central is 7-1. Eastern Hancock is 4-3. Class 2A number 1 Wapahani and Randolph Southern are both 1-0 in conference. Wapahani's 9-0. Randolph Southern is 3-3. Westdell is 4-3 overall, 2-3 in conference. Blue River Valley 1-7, 1-2. Daleville 1-5, 1-4. Union is 2-4, 0-2 in the conference, and Cowan is 0-7 and 0-2 in the conference. Wapahani is 9-0 overall, 1-0 in the conference. They started last year with 12 straight wins. They've won 21 of their last 22 games. The only loss in that time was the state championship game against Brownstown Central last March. This past weekend, the Raiders beat Frankton 51-35 on Friday and Jay County 50-46 on Saturday. Against Frankton, junior Corbin Bell had 18 points. Senior Nate Luce and junior Eli Andrews scored 12 points apiece. Andrews also had 7 assists. Luce had 6 rebounds and 5 assists. In the win over Jay County, Luce and Bell scored 39 of Wapahani's 50 points, and Andrews had 6 points and 6 assists. Wapahani will look to go to 3-0 in the conference in their next 2 games. Friday, they are at 1-7 Blue River. Then they host 4-3 Eastern Hancock on Friday, January 10th. West Dell is 4-3 overall, 2-3 in the conference. Their last game was on December 21st, a 58-47 conference win over Delville. Next Friday, they have another conference game at 3-4 Union County. And Saturday, they're at 6-1 Tri. Then they're at 5-3 Tri Central on Saturday, January 11th. Daleville is 1-5 overall, 1-4 in the conference. They lost 58-47 to Westdell in their last contest, December 21st, the night after winning their first game of the year, 80-63 over Blue River. The Broncos host 5-3 Tri Central on Saturday, then host 0-7 Cowan on Friday, January 10th. Speaking of Cowan, their last game was December 21st, a 67-42 loss at Eastern. The Blackhawks are at 3-5 Madison-Grant on Friday, at 1-5 Daleville on Friday, January 10th, and at 3-5 Eastbrook on Saturday, January 11th. Now to the Pioneer Conference, and we start in the North Division. Class A number 8 Liberty Christian is 5-4 overall, 3-0 in the division, and clearly on their way to the number 1 seed in the conference tournament starting on Valentine's Day. Anderson Prep is 5-2 overall, 1-1 in the conference, their only loss coming to Liberty. University is 3-6 overall, 1-1 in the conference. Burris is 0-7 and 0-1. Seton Catholic is 4-5 and 0-2. There have only been 2 division games played in the Pioneer South. One of those wins puts Greenwood Christian at the top of the standings because they beat Park Tudor. Greenwood Christian is 1-0 in the conference. Park Tudor's 1-1. Greenwood Christian's 4-6 overall. Park Tudor is 2-5. International and Bethesda Christian have not played a conference game yet. International is 2-2. Bethesda Christian is 3-5. Shortridge is also 3-5. They are 0-1 in conference play. Liberty Christian is 5-4 overall, 3-0 in the conference. In their only game last week, they lost 64-43 at Brownsburg. That was on Saturday. Sophomore TJ English had a team best 12 points. Liberty Christian opens the Madison County tournament at 2-6 Elwood on Monday. Then on Wednesday in the second round, they will face either 2-5 Frankton or 5-2 Anderson Prep in a rematch. Anderson Prep is 5-2 overall, 1-1 in the conference. They have not played since December 20th when they lost the heartbreaking game 59-57 at Liberty Christian. The Jets start the Madison County tournament Monday against 2-5 Frankton on the road. Second round will be against either 2-6 Elwood or 5-4 Liberty Christian. That will be on Wednesday, January 8th. Muncie Burris is 0-7, 0-1 in the conference. Their last game was December 19th, and they don't play again until Tuesday, January 14th at home against 3-6 Muncie Central. And to the Three River Conference, where 5 of the 10 teams are still unbeaten in the conference. Peru sits on top of the conference at 3-0. They are 5-4 overall. Northwestern is 4-2 overall and 2-0 in the conference. The Tigers have never lost a Three Rivers Conference game. Class 2A number 8 Manchester is 1-0 in conference, as is Maconaquah and Whitco. Manchester's 8-1 overall. Maconaquah 5-1 overall. Whitco is 2-6. Northfield is 4-4 overall, 1-1 in the Three Rivers. Southwood 5-3, 1-2. Rochester 4-2, 0-1. Cass 2-7, 0-3. And Wabash is 0-10 and 0-3. Northwestern is 4-2 overall, 2-0 in the Three Rivers Conference. Their last game was December 20th, a big 43-31 win at Rochester in a conference game. Northwestern has 5 games in the next 8 days. It starts at home against 8-1 Manchester on Friday. Of course, the Squires are ranked 8th in Class 2A. Then they are at Eastern on Saturday. The Comets are 3-4. Then they're at home against 5-4 Peru, the team on top of the conference, on Tuesday, January 7th. Then they're at home for 5-4 Hamilton Heights on Friday, January 10th. And then they are at 5-1 Clinton Prairie on Saturday, January 11th. Clinton Prairie is ranked 14th in Class A. That is a crazy stretch of schedule for Northwestern. Before we get to our performance, player, team, coach, and win of the week, I just want to remind you to please go right now and like, subscribe, or follow us at your favorite podcasting host so you don't miss a single segment. Please go do that and do it now. And we start our weekly honors with our performance of the week finalists, and we go in alphabetical order for the finalists. Blackford senior Gage Baker had 19 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds in the Bruins' 56-50 win over Tinley on Friday at the Shenandoah Invitational. Kokomo senior Zion Bellamy had 26 points, 8 assists, and 3 rebounds in the Wildcats' 90-70 win over New Haven on Friday. He was 9 for 17 from the field and made 6 of his 11 three-point attempts. Taylor Jr. Javon Harris had 22 points and 18 rebounds in a 64-37 win over rival Eastern on Saturday. Mississinewa Jr. Tyvon Jacobs finished with 17 points. He was 7 for 9 from the field with 11 rebounds, 5 on the offensive end, and the Indians' 53-39 win over Madison-Grant in the first round of the Grant 4 tournament on Saturday. And Pendleton Heights senior Cooper Sims, who had our performance of the week last week, had 30 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists in the Arabian 63-50 win over Chittard on Saturday. And the Central Indiana Sports Report performance of the week belongs to Mississinewa Jr. Tyvon Jacobs, who had 17 points on 7 of 9 shooting, 11 rebounds, 5 on the offensive end, and the Indians win over Madison-Grant on Saturday. Finalists for the win of the week in alphabetical order. The finalists are the Delta Eagles beat Class 2A number 5 and 2022 state champion Providence 45-26 in the championship game of the Delta Invitational. Eastbrook upset host and tournament favorite Oak Hill to advance to the championship game of the Grant 4 tournament on Saturday. Kokomo won the Phil Cox Memorial Invitational with a big 76-71 win over Warren Central on Saturday evening. Mississinewa beat Eastbrook 41-37 Saturday evening to win back-to-back Grant 4 championships. And after a couple of wins got away from them early in the season, Muncie Central earned a big 57-52 win over Columbia City to advance in the championship bracket at the Delta Invitational. The Central Indiana Sports Report win of the week belongs to the Delta Eagles, who beat Providence 45-26 in the championship game of the Delta Invitational on Saturday. Our Coach of the Week finalists in alphabetical order are Sheridan head coach Bill Bowen led the Blackhawks to wins over North White and Hagerstown, and Sheridan to a holiday tournament championship. Anderson head coach Donnie Bowling led the Indians to a tournament championship at East Noble with wins over Glenn and Garrett. Anderson is 7-1 for the first time since 2008-09 under Ron Hecklinski. Mississinewa's Josh Brooks led the Indians to a 53-39 win over Madison-Grant and a 41-37 victory over Eastbrook to win the Grant 4 tournament again in 2024. After back-to-back losses the previous week, John Peckinpah led Kokomo to their own holiday tournament championship win with victories over New Haven, Merrillville, and Warren Central. And Taylor head coach Robert Wanell has the Titans 7-0 for the second time in his 4 years at Taylor. The Central Indiana Sports Report Coach of the Week is Mississinewa's Josh Brooks, who led the Indians to back-to-back Grant 4 championships. Our finalists for Player of the Week in alphabetical order: Wapahani Jr. Camden Bell scored 37 points, shot 63% from the field, including 7 of 10 from behind the three-point arc, and wins over Frankton and Jay County. He also contributed 7 rebounds and 3 assists as the Raiders improved to 9-0. Kokomo junior Corbin Hamill had 56 points, 20 rebounds, and 9 assists in the Wildcats Holiday Tournament Championship run. He had 25 points against New Haven and 18 points and 10 rebounds in a win over Merrillville. In wins over North White and Hagerstown, Sheridan sophomore Trey Page shot 56%, made 8 of his 14 three-point attempts, was 8 for 9 at the foul line, and had a pair of 20-point performances. He also had 8 steals, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds. Tri-Central senior Drake Ramsier scored 54 points, including his first career 30-point performance, with 36 against Indianapolis Heron, as the Trojans went 1-1 at Saturday's Morristown Invitational. And the Central Indiana Sports Report Boys Basketball Player of the Week is Kokomo junior Corbin Hamill, who had 56 points, 20 rebounds, and 9 assists as Kokomo won the Phil Cox Invitational on Friday and Saturday. And to our finalists for Team of the Week, the Anderson Indians beat Glenn and Garrett by a combined 83 points to claim the East Noble Invitational Championship. The Delta Eagles beat Fort Wayne South, Cecina, and Providence to win the Delta Holiday Tournament for their 6th, 7th, and 8th consecutive wins. The Kokomo Wildcats bounced back from losses to Marion and Carmel by beating New Haven, Merrillville, and Warren Central to win the Phil Cox Memorial Invitational at Kokomo. The Mississinewa Indians won their 2nd straight Grant 4 championship, and the Sheridan Blackhawks won their first holiday tournament championship by beating North White and Hagerstown by a combined 78 points. And the Central Indiana Sports Report Team of the Week is the Kokomo Wildcats after winning their own holiday tournament championship with wins over New Haven, Merrillville, and Warren Central. So congratulations to the Central Indiana Sports Report Team of the Week, the Kokomo Wildcats. The Player of the Week, Kokomo Junior Corbin Hamill. The Coach of the Week, Mississinewa's Josh Brooks. The Win of the Week belongs to the Delta Eagles, their win over Providence and the Delta Invitational Tournament Championship. And to Mississinewa Junior Tyvon Jacobs for his performance of the week in the Indians' win over Madison-Grant on Saturday. One quick thing before we get to our top 20 power poll. I know you've been thinking of some people who would like the Central Indiana Sports Report. Please share an episode of the Central Indiana Sports Report with them. Help the podcast grow. We'd really appreciate it. All right, we didn't have a ton of games last week, so there weren't a ton of changes in our top 20 power poll. This is a poll that ended December 30th, 2024. 3 teams just outside of the top 20, 5-3 Tri-Central, 3-6 Yorktown, and 4-3 West Dell, which means Northwestern makes its Central Indiana Sports Report Power Poll debut. The Tigers have been right outside the top 20 all season, and this is their debut. Anderson Prep is 5-2, stays at number 19. Blackford drops from 17 to 18. The Bruins are 5-4. Muncie Central moved up from 18 to 17 after going 2-1 at the Delta Invitational. Frankton dropped 4 spots. We still believe in Frankton, but they are 2-5, and we had to move them down just a little bit. Hamilton Heights went from 16 to 15. They are 6-5. Liberty Christian dropped 4 spots to number 14. The Lions are 5-4, dropping them 4 spots after losses to 4A teams, Pendleton Heights and Brownsburg. Hardly seems fair, but it has more to do with teams that just recently won holiday tournament championships. Speaking of which, Mississinewa moves from 14 to 13. They won the Grant 4 title for the 2nd year in a row. And Sheridan moves from 15 to 12 after the Blackhawks won the Sheridan Invitational. Oak Hill dropped 4 spots from number 7 to number 11. Again, it has as much to do with teams moving past them as much as it did their surprise loss to Eastbrook. To the top 10, Taylor's in the top 10 for the first time. They moved up from 13 to 10. The Titans are 7-0 and are one of two remaining unbeaten teams in our area. Tipton is number 9. Western is number 8. LaPel is number 7. Pendleton Heights is number 6. They all moved up 2 spots. Tipton is 4-2. Western 7-3. LaPel 4-3. And Pendleton Heights is 3-5. And the top 5 remains the same. 8-2 Kokomo is 5th. 9-1 Delta 4th. Marion is 3rd at 6-1. Anderson is 7-1 and at number 2. And for the second week in a row, Class 2A number 1 Wapahani is number 1 in the Central Indiana Sports Report Top 20 Power Bowl. Wapahani is 9-0. Thank you so much to Blackford head coach Aaron Daniels, Mississinewa's Josh Brooks, Madison-Grant's Josh Hendrixson, Frankton's Brent Brobston, Hamilton Heights head coach Chad Ballenger, Tri-Central head coach Cam Hindman, and Muncie Central head coach Justin Ullom for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. And thank you for listening. We hope 2025 is your best year yet. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.